Welcome back to Dead Good Book Reviews. I'm Judith and you are watching my 2021 releases video. I'm going to take you through all of the books that I am excited to read next year. I really love watching this kind of video. I normally get some really good recommendations from them. I more have kind of a list of really obvious books and then a metric hecton of sequels. So I don't know if you'll be able to get recommendations from this, but hey, maybe it's a bit of a teaser for what we'll be reading throughout the year. I colour code and categorise my list of new releases because of who I am as a person, and also because I'm kind of hoping it will help me remember to actually purchase the books, read them and enjoy them. I am going to be going off my notes for most of these though. So I have 6 categories, and when I spot a new release that I'm interested in, I'll pop it into one of the 6 zones. At this point, this is where this list stands, but it's not a static list of books. So my 6 categories are must have, it speaks for itself. A Keen Bean, which is like, I really do want to read it, but I'm not necessarily going to pre-order it. I might just wait until I see it in a bookshop and go, oh yeah, I like that. A sequel that I ought to read. So this is for, they're not must-have sequels. I'm not like, oh yeah, no, I really need to know what happens next. But they're kind of the books where I remember liking the first book and maybe I've said, oh, I'll wait and see what the second one's like before I fully commit to this series, that kind of thing. 4 is books that I'm really bad at holding up fingers. 4 is books that I'm interested in. It's kind of like, oh yeah, that sounds interesting. That's where I'm at. Category 5 is I'd read it if it fell into my lap, but I'm not searching for it. Like if somebody emailed me and was like, would you like a review copy of this? I'd probably pick it up. If it was 3 in the morning and I'm scrolling the library app, it's the kind of thing I'd be interested in. And category 6 is I'm not too fussed. Like, I know it exists, and until somebody else reads it and says, this is amazing, Judith, you have to absolutely read this, I'm not that fussed. For the purposes of this video, I'm just going to go through the books I have in the first, I think I'm going to do the first 3 categories? Yes. Because otherwise we will be here all day, and if I'm not that fussed about it, I don't want to talk about it right now, okay? So we're going to start at the very beginning with my must-have books. These are the books that I am definitely planning on reading next year, and if I don't get to them, I will be sad. Some of these I have got review copies of on NetGalley since I made this list, so some of these it's quite a nice like, oh yeah, I can tick that one off. First up is The Galaxy and the Ground Within by Becky Chambers. There is more than one Becky Chambers book on this list. This is the 4th and sadly, I believe, final book in her Wayfarers series. So we have, the first one is The Long Way to a Small Angry Planet. I am so excited to be reading it. I have pre-ordered it, but I also have a review copy, but I desperately want to reread the other 3.5 dozen novella first, so I need to kick that into gear very soon. All the books in this series stand on their own. You probably want to read books 1 and 2 in order when you read them, but you could read them in any order. This 4th one is no exception. As far as I can tell, this is something about 4 strangers being kind of thrown together in a, it's not quite being stuck in a lift, but it kind of is kind of situation, and having to wait it out. And I am so excited. This is absolutely 1000% going to make me cry, and I'm very much looking forward to it. Come on, February, let's get there. The trio are compelled to confront where they've been, where they might go, and what they might be to one another. Together they will discover that even in the vastness of space, they're not alone. Ooh, I feel it. Oh, it's going to happen. Then in May, it is The Broken God, which is the 3rd book of Gareth Hanrahan's Black Iron legacy, so The Gutter Prayer, The Shadow Saint. I love this series, 2 pieces. It definitely needs a reread. I'm going to have to make some severe planning for when I'm planning on reading some of these series. It'll be fine. So this is a really creative, really unique fantasy world, and I believe we're going back to one of the characters from book 1 in this one, so I'm very much looking forward to that. I don't want to talk too much about it because obviously it's book 3, but yeah, that's a must read for me. Then in June we have the next Becky Chambers book. This is A Psalm for the Wild Built. I think this is a novella. Yes, it's 160 pages, and it's the first book in a new series from her called the Monk and Robot series, and I believe this is a world where one day all of the robots in the world just sort of got up and left humanity without them, and then this book is a robot has turned up to bother a tea monk and ask him all sorts of questions about the world. I know this is going to be beautiful. Please be careful, Becky Chambers. You hold my tiny shriveled heart in your hands. Oh, we're still going. This one I've written in my notes, I have actually requested this on NetGalley, so fingers crossed, pals. But I got approved for it this morning. Huzzah! This is A Desolation Called Peace by Arkady Martin. This is the sequel to A Memory Called Empire, which the first time I read it, wasn't a huge fan. Reread it, absolutely loved it, understood what all the hype was about. fantastic book, so excited for the sequel. This series is a sci-fi series and it's all about diplomacy, which is a really cool take on where it would normally be politics. Diplomacy, I feel there's a slightly different angle on that, and technology and memory, unsurprisingly, and yeah, I just think it's going to be fantastic. Give it to me now. It's out in March, by the way. The last of my must-read books actually is out in January. I've not quite gone in any kind of order here. This is Across the Grass Green Fields by Shannon Maguire. This is the 6th? How many are we on? That's one. I own one. I want to say it's 5. I think it's the 6th. I can't remember. It's one of her novellas in the Wayward Children series. Wayfarers, Wayward Children. I always get that mixed up. But this is meant to be a good jumping on point for the series if you've not read any of them yet. These are portal fantasy, or they're sort of divided between half the books are portal fantasy and half the books are sort of the aftermath of a portal fantasy. So all of these children who've gone through doors or fallen down holes into new worlds now have to be kind of rehabilitated in this home, and it's a fantastic book series. Again, it makes me cry and I'm really excited to read the next one. I haven't loved any of them as much as I loved, I think, Beneath the Sugar Sky. That was very good, and Down Among the Sticks and Bones is good too. Oh, they're all good, but I haven't had one that's quite tipped it for me as much as when I originally read, I think, the first 4. But we shall see. I'm excited. As it said, it might be a new start. Okay, next category. Keen Bean. Books how to describe it? These books I am very keen to read, but if I don't get to them, I'm not going to weep. Oh, one I already have. In fact, quite a few of these I already have on NetGalley. One of those is The Mask of Mirrors by M.A. Carrick. I am reading this right now. It is currently entering my life and it's very good. So we have a young girl called Ren who grows up in this city with her friend Tess and escapes the knot that she's in, which is like a kind of gang of street youths who do lots of crime. And she gets out of that, but only slightly. And so the book starts and she is disguising herself as a noblewoman and trying to infiltrate one of these families in order to get some of their money. And she's getting tied up in a lot of intrigue and discovering that all is not how it should be. And it's a lot of politics. There are a lot of names. I am reading it slowly because there are a lot of names, but it is very good, and I am excited for other people to read it. It's also been blurbed by like a load of people who I very much trust the opinions of and enjoy the writing of, so that's pretty exciting. Mask of Mirrors is out in January. A February release, contrastingly, another one I have on NetGalley, Fireheart Tiger by Aliette de Bodard. This is meant to be Howl's Moving Castle meets The Goblin Emperor. I really enjoyed Howl's Moving Castle when I read it. I wasn't so big of a fan of The Goblin Emperor, but I'm willing to give this book a try because I really like Aliette de Bodard's writing. I don't think her writing is for everyone. I've said it a bajillion times, but I personally really enjoy it and I'm excited for this. Because it's a February release, if I really love it, it might go on my birthday wish list. Another February release, The Echo Wife by Sarah Gailey. I have really loved reading Sarah Gailey's writing this year. I think they write wonderful fiction. This next one is more of kind of like a sci-fi dystopian or Black Mirror-esque. Black Mirror, not really my vibe, but I've kind of committed to reading the stuff that Sarah Gailey writes now, so there we go. I shall read you the thing because I'm not good at explaining sci-fi. It was meant to be an evening to honour and celebrate Evelyn Caldwell's award-winning career-making scientific research, but Evelyn has things on her mind. Things like Nathan, her husband, who has left her for a younger, better, newer woman. A woman who is now pregnant, but shouldn't be, and is strikingly familiar. Too familiar to be a coincidence. This, I think it'll be 50-50. It could be a really good palate cleanser, or it could really not be for me. The only way to find out is to read it, so bring on that in February. The start of a new series coming in April from Tasha Suri, The Jasmine Throne, I believe? Yes. I did definitely enjoy reading Empire of Sand when I read it, and I need to finish off that series, but I have not had the time. But this is a new series, and it's going to get gay, and I'm excited for it, and the cover is beautiful, and I'm hoping I can get a review copy for this, because I want to read it. One is a vengeful princess seeking to depose her brother from his throne. The other is a priestess searching for her family. Together they will change the fate of an empire. Yes, this is the stuff that I want. And the last one is one that I have already read. It's another January release, but I'm retrospectively adding it to this list because imagine if I hadn't read it, it would probably maybe have made it onto this list. I don't think it would have been this high up if I hadn't read it yet. I think it probably would have been in the 4th category. It would have been in interested. But this is Fable by Adrienne Young. This is a YA story. It is about a young girl called Fable who gets stuck on an island filled with thieves and she has to get herself off, and she joins a ship and she dives for crystals, and it's just a really fun YA, romantic, slightly sad. It's like quintessential, fast-paced kind of this doesn't really matter YA read. And sometimes you just want that. You just need something that you can read a whole book in a day and feel good about yourself. And that's Fable for me. It's a good YA time. So then I'm on to my third category, and it's sequels that I ought to read. Some of these I am very excited about. Some of them I'm more in a situation of, it'd be good to get to that, but, you know, if I don't get to it till 2023, meh, it's probably fine. So I am going to whiz through these because they're sequels. I don't want to go into too much detail. In February, we have Curse of the Divine by Kim Schmeckel. This is the sequel to Ink in the Blood, Tattoo Magic. Was fairly interested. February as well, The Archive of the Forgotten by AJ Hackworth is the sequel to Library of the Unwritten, which I really, really enjoyed. I was surprised by how much I liked it. So that one I am looking to read. Reaper of Souls by Rena Barron is out in February. That's the sequel to Kingdom of Souls, which I definitely did enjoy. I feel like if I reread it now, I'd probably have a better time with it. But I'm interested to see how the sequel goes. In July, The Last Graduate by Naomi Novik's coming out, and I'm interested to see how that one goes. I'm aware of the controversy surrounding those books. I think it would be interesting to see what's implemented in book 2 as a response to that. I would be interested. In March, we're meant to get Rule of Wolves by Leigh Bardugo, which is the sequel to King of Scars. Yes, I have unhauled King of Scars. I didn't love it, but I feel like I want to read Rule of Wolves, and I don't really know why. Compels me, something about it. In March we have Bridge of Souls by Victoria Schwab, which is the third book in the Cassidy Blake series, which is her like middle grade ghost hunting. I reread the first 2 recently, and I decided I did kind of want to continue with the series, but I'm probably going to see if I can get it from the library. I have already read this, but the 4th book in the Bone Season series, The Mask Falling, comes out in January. If you're interested in that, I actually really recommend it. I will have a review, but I don't want to release it until January. Also in January, we have We Free the Stars by Hafsa Faisal. This is the sequel to... It's behind me. Why can't I remember? We Hunt the Flame. Thank you. I definitely need to reread We Hunt the Flame, but I am looking forward to reading that as well. A lot of sequels coming out next year. I think a lot of stuff that got pushed from the end of 2020, the year that I'm in when I'm filming this. So that is a whiz through all of the books that I'm currently very excited about reading next year. Most of them are very big publisher stuff. I'm not very good at finding indie recommendations, so if you have anything that you think should be added to any of those categories, even if it's just my I am aware that this exists and if it comes into my life I will read it list, plonk those in the comments below. While you're down there, you can also follow me on all of my social media. That's listed below. You can subscribe because it makes me feel immensely loved and appreciated. That's all from me, and I will see you in the next one. There's gonna be some bloopers now. The first one is Long Way to a Small Angry Pants. Another January release. No, March we're meant to get Rule of Wolves. We did it, we did it, we did it, we did it, we did it.